following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the WZWA Network and our review show here of Impact Wrestling's Multiverse of Matches here for WrestleMania weekend. This is the first show that we're reviewing here for this, fucking huge weekend of professional wrestling. I'm Karlifornia, alongside this fucking asshole here who just tried to cut me off. Jooseyboy, what's going on, bro?
And I'm cutting you off right now because, as you alluded to, I was trying to work in a most stupendous line there. That is the tagline for WrestleMania this year. This is the most stupendous weekend of wrestling of 2022. And we started off with a bang, man. We started off with a big bang that created the multiverse of matches. Let's get into it, bro.
Yeah, bro. Very interesting concept to have, all of these different, brands kind of battling within the Impact world here for the multiverse. So let's crack on with it, bro. This is the show 1 of 5 that I have to review this weekend. You're lucky you just have to do 3, bro. But here we go. The first matchup. Ultimate X. Trey Miguel defends the X Division Championship against Rich Swann, Blake Christian, Vincent, Jordan Grace, and Chris Bay. I'm going to throw it to you. What did you think of the opening contest, bro?
Well, I'm not really a big fan of mixed gender competition in matches. So like females working in the ring against males. But as you astutely pointed out, Jordan Grace, physically among the more imposing of the competitors in the match, and coming off a standout performance in the women's Ultimate X that we saw a couple of months ago or a month or so ago. So I felt like, I agree with you in that in this instance, I feel like she deserved her place in this match. For me, the standouts in the match were probably Rich Swann and Blake Christian, as well as Jordan Grace. Look, I kind of agree with you. I felt like when this thing finished, it was like, oh, that's it. Like this was only just starting to heat up. And honestly, I hate saying this because I think all the guys and girls in this match did a great job performance-wise, but this left me wanting more from a booking point of view. It's not like I'm asking everyone to go out there and kill themselves doing crazy spots, but to me, this never really got out of second gear for me. And I think that's the first time I've ever had to say that about an Ultimate X match. And I'd probably rate the match overall a C-. Nearly forgot to give my rating there.
No worries, bro. Yeah, I expected this to go a bit longer than it did. I thought, as we were discussing, you saying, I don't really like having a female in this match as well. But then I mentioned, well, if you look at how jacked Jordan Grace is. I mean, she's a very sexy woman, and very jacked. In comparison to Blake Christian, she's probably stronger than him. So in this instance, it's okay, I suppose. But yeah, I thought it was going to be hectic. I was impressed that Blake Christian was there, considering he'd already worked the pre-show for Ring of Honor's Supercard of Honor earlier. I guess the biggest highlight for me was that jumping cutter from Chris Bay on, I believe it was Rich Swann, which was nice. Again, have to shit on the too sweet whoop whoop chant. Shut the fuck up. I hate that thing.
Yeah. It's not yours.
Blake Christian hitting the Destroyer. Just got to say this, bro. The Destroyer now means nothing to me because everyone uses it and it never seems to be something that finishes off a fucking match. It's just this fucking spot now. But Miguel retains, and I've just thought the match ended a little too soon. I didn't get to see, someone like Vincent didn't really get to do a lot to showcase himself.
No.
Same with, I feel like Trey Miguel didn't really get to show a whole lot of what he can do.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Look, I guess you release a card for WrestleMania weekend. You say that there's going to be an Ultimate X match. That's probably going to convince some people to go see the show based off the fact that you have all these great interpromotional matches, but at the same time, you see that there's going to be this hectic Ultimate X match. Yeah. So hopefully the fact that it wasn't setting the world on fire and didn't get enough time. Hopefully that didn't make people think, oh, you know, they just did this to get me to buy a ticket. But anyway,
I think it was treated as an afterthought, bro. I do.
Yeah.
When you look at the legacy of the match type. But anyway, as you said.
Yeah. Moving forward, bro, Mickie James and her husband, Nick Aldis, take on Chelsea Green and her husband, Matt Cardona, always ready. This is kind of like an inter-promotional feud. Mickey's feuding with Chelsea in Impact Wrestling. Nick is feuding with Cardona and Chelsea in NWA. So I'm liking the fact that they've taken these two things and they've put them together here to really make it a multiverse of matches. I'll get through my notes very quickly here because, again, this was another match that I felt like didn't get much time, considering that, you know, I felt like it's an important match on this show. They started off hot with the brawling. I don't, as we were talking about, you know, the intergender stuff, you know, I still don't really vibe with it. I don't like seeing Matt Cardona choking Mickie James. I know it's wrestling, I know, but I didn't like seeing Cardona kick Jordan Grace full force in the fucking head a few months ago. So I'm not really into that. So that kind of like makes me feel uneasy when I'm watching the match. You know, every time I saw Nick Aldis kind of, I guess, interact with Chelsea Green in the match, he didn't do anything like fucking hit her or whatever. He just did like a double leg takedown and you know, or threw her out the ring at one point.
But still, even then, it's like it's a bit disconcerting for me as a male. Like it's just, I just don't like it. Just rubs me the wrong way. Like even if he was just doing a double leg and putting her in the cloverleaf, as you said, man, like I found that was like, that's almost a way to turn Aldis heel because he's still putting his hands on a woman, you know?
Yeah.
Sorry, bro,
you'll get Jooseyboy, you'll get your time, okay? I've only got a couple more notes here. Aldis being on back on Impact, it's nice to see people they need to realize how good this man is at what he does. I'm so sick of this fucking thing that's out there that, you know, he's not good at, he's fucking good at what he does. I'm digging the big Nick Energy shirt, and I was happy to see Mickie and Nick win this one. But did not like the fact that some of those marks in the crowd booed the fact that Aldis and Mickie James won. I don't give a fuck. Okay, like it's not your time to fucking hijack things like that. Let's show respect to who's heel and who's babyface. Bro, your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, look, I mean, I didn't like this at all. The moment that I realized that it wasn't going to be the traditional intergender mixed tag rules where the females must compete against the females and the males must compete against the males. As soon as I saw that they weren't doing that, they were just mixing the genders, I started to hate this match. And the real shameful thing about it is, if we hadn't have been dealing with a mixed tag match, or if we had been dealing with a mixed tag match where the men and the women weren't allowed to get physical with each other, then we would have been dealing with four absolute pros that, you know, there's emotion around it because these couples are married in real life. You're dealing with four people that are consummate professionals in the ring, the men and the women, excellent psychology, excellent selling from everybody, really excellent timing and pacing from everybody. But I'm sorry, I can't credibly buy into the idea of women being able to throw the men around. And I certainly can't get comfortable with the idea of watching male wrestlers put their hands on women in any physical negative way. And I don't care if like it's within the context of a wrestling match, because guess what? In every other sport that exists in the world, including mixed martial arts and boxing, which are the most analogous real sports to professional wrestling, they don't allow intergender matches. And so I believe that it simply should be the same within pro wrestling, because I believe in a sport-based style and I'm anti-violence against women, and it's as simple as that. And I don't give a shit if anyone disagrees with me. There are several things that are wrong with it. One, it completely ignores kayfabe, because even though Chelsea Green and Mickie James, respectively, either one of them could probably kick my ass. They aren't going to be able to kick a 6 foot, 250-pound male wrestler's ass if this was real, which is always should be the goal, is to suspend your disbelief and get people convinced that what they're watching is really happening. And number two, I really felt like it did a disservice, especially to the women. I think 2 singles matches individually would have been able to accomplish just as much as they accomplished with this booking by putting them in a tag match. I think you still could have done the spot with the double cloverleaf. You still could have done the spot with the title belt shot and the duck and everything like that. You still could have done the spot with pushing him off the top rope when he goes up for that elbow. Like, there's nothing that you couldn't have done in the context of a singles match with managers on the outside in either direction, whether it was the females or the males having a singles match. You still could have accomplished everything that they did here without having the males and the females get physically involved in the ring. And so for that reason, unfortunately, I have to give this a D-. It's nothing against the performers involved themselves, but this just conflicts with my sensibilities. It's not okay. To me, it normalizes male on female violence under the guise of equality via sports. And no, doesn't sit well.
Yeah, fair enough, bro. And if anyone out there wants to go, oh, but Rey Mysterio, no, it's different, because Rey Mysterio utilizes evasions and quickness and different ways of striking someone because of that quickness. It makes sense in the context of the world when you have Rey Mysterio fighting somebody like fucking Brock Lesnar, okay, and still Lesnar ends up fucking winning anyway. So anyone who wants to bring up that example, sorry, but that's bullshit, because Rey Mysterio is a special kind of performer and it is completely different. Moving forward, Alex Shelley.
Just like what we said with Jordynne Grace. You know, that's exactly, I have to mention that before we move on, even though we're trying to be quick here. You know, there are exceptions that prove the rule, right? Jordynne Grace, we were okay with her being involved in that match. Look at the size of her. She's 6 foot, 220 pounds, twice the size of half the male competitors in her particular match. We weren't dealing with that in this mixed tag match. Sorry, go ahead, Alex Shelley.
That's fine, bro. And it's kind of like China and Awesome Kong. Like, okay, that makes sense. Alex Shelley, Mike Bailey, bro, your thoughts on this one? I know you're a fan of Mike Bailey.
Dude, everything Mike Bailey does is credible. You can tell when he throws the martial arts kicks and, you know, uses the martial arts techniques that he legitimately knows them, that this is a person who's well-trained and well-versed in martial arts. But I also like that he doesn't rely on some Karate Kid gimmick. I remember when he first kind of started wrestling, I've been following him for a long time. He did kind of have like a kung fu fighting, like Karate Kid sort of vibe going on, but he's now since shed that as he's matured as a wrestler. And now he's a very capable high flyer that also happens to be an extremely gifted martial artist. Well, yeah. I made the comment to you earlier on that 90s ECW pre-WWF Rob Van Dam versus Speedball Mike Bailey at this point in his career would be a 5-star match on any card for me personally. And I didn't find myself caring too much about Alex Shelley from a heat perspective, but I've always thought he was a good performer in the ring, and I'd have to give this match a B+. It was really enjoyable.
Yes, I agree. This is definitely the best I've seen of Mike Bailey. I've seen 2 performances of him before this. So this was like a bit more of a spotlight on him. Alex Shelley, how are you the Iggy Pop of pro wrestling? What is it that you do that makes you the same as Iggy Pop? Bro, smear some peanut butter on your chest, then okay. Now you are. This is good for Mike Bailey. I'm happy for him, you know, after all those years out of the United States. Wasn't too big of a fan of the quick fire kicks where, you know, it was just one after another and it wasn't really having an effect. I get it. He's just showing off his skills. There was good pacing. It was a good showing for Bailey. Loved that great float over transition by Shelley into the crossface. It was a float over transition we hadn't really seen before. But one thing that I guess one negative was like, I kind of felt like at some point, okay, it's time to start to wrap it up, guys, you know. But maybe that's because I was already conditioned because the first two matches ended so soon in comparison to what I was expecting. There was a DDT on the apron that was fucking insane, cunt. The moonsault by Bailey to the outside, the timing.
Yeah.
Fucking loved it. Again, the best I've seen of Mike Bailey. There was a nice little false finish with the sliced bread that went into the crossface, then Bailey with the roll up. At that point, I was like, you know what? Give Bailey the win. Like, I really hope that this isn't going to be a foregone conclusion that the more well-known or the guy getting more of a push is going to get the win. And the transition for Bailey to get that pin and get the victory, I was like, okay, good. You did something nice for a talent that needs a win like that on a stage like this. Okay, bro. Moving forward, Impact Knockouts Tag Team Title Match. It is a four-way here with the Influence, Madison Rayne, and Tenille Dashwood. Giselle Shaw and Lady Frost. Savannah Evans and Tasha Steeles. And, of course, Decay of Havoc and Rosemary. Not many notes here, bro. First time seeing Savannah Evans work. She didn't really do a whole lot in the match, but what she did do was good. I just wrote, this is really good. Like, it felt like a fight. It felt like a war between these women trying to win the tag team titles. I guess we kind of knew ahead of time, though, that this would be a retaining for the Influence. So I thought the finish was great because it was like pandemonium with all the women fighting and brawling, and you didn't know what was going to happen or how it was going to happen, but it happened. Great finish. Liked it. What did you think, bro?
Yeah, like, to be honest, I mean, WrestleMania, they're doing a fatal four-way women's tag team titles match. And I think that match is going to be hard-pressed to compete with the one that went on at this show. I actually think this match was a lot of fun. I think this went a long way into sort of showcasing the strengths and hiding the weaknesses of each team. And yeah, like, I'm giving this a B-. I thought this was really fun. I enjoyed it quite a lot.
Yeah. Always like saying Tenille Dashwood, bro. Come on.
I thought all the ladies did great in that match.
No, I'm being a pig. Okay, she's sexy, bro. I just like it. Okay, moving forward, bro. Tomohiro Ishii, my first time seeing this bloke wrestle, taking on Eddie Edwards. What did you think of this one, bro?
Like, this one got a little long in the tooth for me after a while. You know, I get the type of match that was being presented. I thought that Eddie Edwards no-selling for Tomohiro Ishii's maneuvers looked silly. And I thought that the idea of Eddie Edwards going tit for tat with Ishii with the hard strikes and then both of them simultaneously falling over made Ishii look stupid more than it made Eddie Edwards look strong and powerful. I think that there's a limit to the credibility of some of this stuff. And as much as I'm sure Ishii respects a worker like Eddie Edwards from a physical standpoint, Ishii is night and day ahead of Eddie Edwards at the moment, at this current point in time. And although it's nice to see a hard-hitting, technical-based affair, and it's always fun seeing a vet like Ishii get in the ring with the stiff headbutts and the stiff elbows and the chops and all that sort of stuff, I think that they took it a little bit too far for my taste and sort of indulged themselves a bit too much rather than doing what would have been most effective to get the best reaction out of the crowd. I'm going to go ahead and give it a C- because I just think that, especially in the final third of this match, it really sort of was waning on for me. And I was like, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of these cold matches between two great workers seem to always go a little long in the tooth. We both unanimously hate Eddie Edwards tights. Bro, it's time to get away from dressing like you're a 12-year-old breakdancer. Enough. Okay,
Yeah.
it works for fucking Prince Ikea. He will
Amazing
always
Red.
get a pass. Amazing Red, but Eddie, you're a grown man now. Come on.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more fabric. That's all I'm asking for. Because I just have a hard time taking him seriously as an ass kicker when he dresses like he's a kid.
It's like looks like he's dressed like a leprechaun, like he's like a full-size leprechaun.
I'm the leprechaun.
Oh, Mr.
Good
Ishii,
starts to
you're
the
not gonna
match.
like your look today.
Good start to the match. I'm only interested in old Japanese wrestlers. I am only interested in guys that are veterans. I don't know why.
Like Giant Baba.
Yeah, like, oh, well, you know what? I mean, come on. Ishii, he looked good, man. He looked good. There was a great Blue Thunder bomb by Eddie. There was a fucking DDT on the apron that was fucking hectic. Good shit. It's kind of hard to give an analysis on just fucking a wrestling match sometimes. Sometimes I need that psychology. And although it's a great fight and it's a great war, sometimes psychology disappears in a match like this because it's just, and we'll get to that with Jay White and Chris Sabin. I probably have a little bit.
Don't even.
Have a bit to say.
Don't even.
But Ishii's headbutt after Eddie's forearms. Great. The German spot. Look, Ishii knows selling the German and getting back up. Sweet. That's what Japanese guys do. We've been trained to know that that's what happens when Mike Awesome hits a German on Masato Tanaka and the motherfucker gets up straight away after a massive lariat where he fucking bumps it on the back of his neck. But when I see Eddie do that, I'm like, sorry, bro, don't believe it. I don't believe that. So I think it should have been Ishii sells it, then he hits a German on Eddie, and then Eddie fucking sells it. Thank you very much. The Tiger Driver took place. I thought it was over at that point. And again, yes, long in the tooth. I wrote this needs to end soon. I don't like this, bro. I don't like Eddie Edwards hitting a big move that looks like it could be the finish of the match, and then he picks him up to hit him with something else. Go for a pin at least, bro. Al Snow would be fucking fuming at you picking him up after hitting a move like that. It's about getting the pinfall. You should be desperate to try and get a pinfall. You hit something with that impact on him, you go for a fucking pinfall, bro, okay? It's a habit of a lot of pro wrestlers today, and I'm sorry that it must sound rich coming from a guy sitting in his fucking office in Australia, but that's how I feel. Happy that Ishii got the win. It was nice to see someone who wasn't within it Impact Wrestling pick up a victory. So there you fucking have it, bro. Okay. Moving forward to probably what was my favorite match on this show, and I think maybe yours too. JONAH, Josh Alexander taking on Moose and PCO. We are big fans of these four guys. I will get through my notes very fucking quickly here, motherfucker. This has such a great mix of talent, this match.
Yeah.
So many people with so many different varying skills. Moose is like a supreme athlete. JONAH is this fucking brick wall. Josh Alexander is this intense technical fucking master. And PCO is this fucking freak that just seems to keep fucking going and going and going. He's like a Duracell bunny, you know what I mean? Like no matter what he goes through, he still goes and goes and goes. PCO, I've said it a million times, he really fucking reinvented himself, man. I'm very proud of that man at his age, considering what he fucking done in this match, and I'll get to that. The opening sequence with JONAH and Moose, or one of the opening sequences where they fucking went back and forth. JONAH was on fire there. There was a senton attempt that he missed on Moose, and it's just, I love how the senton that he hits, it's like, if he hits it, that's a game changer in the match. A real game changer, not an AEW game changer. I mean, a real game changer. Yeah. So when Moose avoids that, he avoids fucking all out destruction. Props to PCO. Again, he goes all out no matter what fucking match, no matter if it's just a TV match, a pay-per-view match, a match like this on WrestleMania weekend. He goes fucking balls to the wall every time. I've got so much respect for him. I think that fucking flipping somersault onto the apron, I think that might need to be retired at some point, because he's in his 50s now, and I worry that maybe he's gonna hurt himself at some point or hurt someone else, because I know he nearly hurt Rich Swann a few weeks ago with it. It's a great move, but it's just fuck. I was really worried that he hurt himself. Any interaction with Josh Alexander and Moose was solid, and it sold their match at Rebellion coming up later this month. Great transition to the ankle lock on Moose. The psychology with Moose and Josh is just so good, especially to the point where Moose just fucking bails. So you can think to yourself now, shit, maybe Josh has got his fucking number come Rebellion, you know?
Yeah.
I'm
excited for that match.
Me too, bro. He lets PCO take the loss. I think at this point, though, PCO needs a big win back soon. He put over JONAH at the last pay-per-view. He took the pin here. PCO needs something soon. Don't let him just be this guy that's there to put over other people who are on their way up. Let him be a threat as well, because this is the kind of guy that could challenge Moose for the championship, just like JONAH could on pay-per-view. There we go. There's my notes. What did you think of this one, bro?
Yeah, like this is getting an A+ from me. It doesn't get any better than this.
Yeah.
The only thing better than having two great feuds going at one time in promotion is when you can organically combine those two great feuds into a tag match that makes sense with the combination of those two feuds put together, that also previews, hypes, and foreshadows the two big singles matches that these respective four people are going to be involved in come Rebellion. I don't know if PCO is going to be working with any one of the other three necessarily, because obviously we know that JONAH and PCO have already just wrestled at Sacrifice. So I don't know if they're going to be having a rematch at Rebellion, but you know what? I'm invested enough that I'd be excited if they were.
Yeah.
Like,
make it a straight
bring
fight,
it on.
bro.
Bring it on, yeah. And then Alexander versus Moose as well. As you said, superb psychology. They did it in a way that it made sense. It's just basically was as good as it gets as far as a wrestling match, and it's getting an A+ for that reason. I don't even have anything else to add to it. There's nothing that can be added to it.
Bro, would you give that one a Jooseyboy recommendation?
Yeah, that is also a Jooseyboy recommendation. Go out of your way to check that shit out, folks, because I can't do it justice.
You know what? That would be a great shirt, bro. Just you going like this, and underneath a Jooseyboy recommendation. I think so. I think we should think about that for the future. Yeah, okay, moving forward, bro.
Good idea.
Our home girl, the Ring of Honor Women's Champion, the AAA Women's Champion, Deonna Purazzo. She never fails to disappoint, bro. She defends the title again in the Champ Challenge. This time the AAA Women's Championship is on the line. She's taking on a lady that I'd never heard of before, but that's because she's from AAA and I have never really had the chance to check out that product, but it's Faby Apache, whatever. Tomato, potato. Who says patata? No one says patata. No one's ever said that. No one's ever said that in the history of potatoes. Bro, no. You take it away. What did you think of the Champ Challenge here with our home girl, Deonna?
Yeah, I mean, Deonna always knocks it out of the park. She gets it, you know, and any longtime wrestling fans know she gets it. That's all you need to say about her. She just understands it. She understands what it's about. She knows what this business is about, and she shows it every time she goes out there for a match. Her character, the way that she holds herself, the way that she moves in the ring, her facial expressions, her willingness to give to her opponent so that she looks better in the end when she ends up pulling the victory out. It's all there. I thought that Faby Apache, tremendous work from her. You could tell that this was an experienced, seasoned professional. Everything that she locked in, everything that she hit was crisp, smooth, well executed, well timed. It's disappointing. I can only really give this match a C- because it fell really flat. I think it disappointed me to see that the crowd was kind of really uninterested in it. They seemed very uninterested in Faby Apache, and I get that she's probably an unknown to that audience being from AAA. So I don't know if it might have been a mistake to actually book this particular match for your AAA match. I think it might have been a better idea to put a couple of AAA guys into the Ultimate X, and you put it on a rematch with Jordynne Grace or something with Purazzo. Because I think, unfortunately for Faby Apache, the audience didn't really appreciate the kind of veteran and performer that she is, which is a disservice to her, quite frankly, because this was a great match, physically speaking. And but it just was fucking a cold fish of a match, unfortunately. So C- is as far as I can go, even though I'd love to give it more from a purely technical point of view.
Yeah, bro, that's the risk you run when you have an open challenge every single time. If you bring in someone that the people don't know on a higher level, if you bring in somebody for an open challenge, and let's say, I don't know, let's say Jushin Thunder Liger rocks up. Okay, here we go. Pop, 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 pop. But then you do it, and then Warhorse comes out.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Nobody fucking cares.
And that's nothing against Faby or Faby, however you say her name. It's just like a lot of people might not be aware of who she is. So that's why they might not be invested. So I think when you do your champ challenge like this, like, wouldn't it have been great if Trinity came out, former, top Impact women's wrestler? Why doesn't she fucking accept the challenge? She can still go, and she still looks great. But again,
why not?
Deonna, believability. She might not be the biggest woman in the world. She might be short, but I have complete believability that she's an ass kicker. So there's a difference there with people who are small. I believe her. I don't believe the Young Bucks, but I believe Deonna.
Because she sells the idea, bro, that on the chessboard that is professional wrestling, she's the queen piece. She's the queen. She moves wherever she wants. She's got that strategy in her head. You believe that, brother. With her.
That's fucking on point, motherfucker. Very astute. It was a bit at the beginning. But I think that has a bit to do with the crowd. I think the fucking Moose, PCO, etc. tag match should have been after this match, not before. I think that doesn't help either. Apache with a nice double underhook face buster. Look, it wasn't a bad match. It wasn't, it wasn't amazing either, but Deonna can't have a bad match. It was a good victory there, good tap out. And then Taya, how do you pronounce the surname, bro? Valkyrie. Taya Valkyrie. Always have a hard time with that surname. She makes her return to Impact. She wants to challenge Deonna at Rebellion later this month. And the last note I wrote was, Impact always throws in a surprise. Every time there's a big show, there's a surprise. I like it. Moving forward, bro, to, I would say, my low light of the show, surprisingly. Chris Sabin versus Jay White. I wrote I'd like Sabin to win this. Early on, I think I was starting to get slightly burned out on the show, because this is kind of like you count this as maybe the third good wrestling match, cold match for me anyway. I'm sure there was a video package that we skipped. But this is about having a good wrestling match. And it's the third one of the show, and I'm kind of like not feeling it from the get-go. But it's also because I'm feeling impatient to get the show over, because I have to also review Ring of Honor and NXT and watch the Hall of Fame all within the next fucking 9 hours. So I felt the crowd weren't really into it. That's just me. I kept thinking, when are they going to hit that next gear? I kept thinking, this is too much of a constant fucking stalemate the whole way through. I need a heat. Not every match has to follow that same fucking formula. I get it. But this struggle the whole way through, this stalemate the whole way through, like I wasn't like on a roller coaster ride. It was just kind of like moving along slowly, like, come on, I'm waiting for something here to really grab me, some psychology here, to do something, to make me get out of my seat a little bit. And when it's your turn to talk, I just want to remind you about the chess analogy. I thought, and this is horrible that I wrote this. I wrote down Strowman levels of boring. Because, you know, we think Braun Strowman is one of those boring performers in wrestling history. Strowman levels of boring. It did nothing for me. I liked the fact that Sabin won. And I'm surprised that I felt this way because, look, I'm not a hater. I liked Jay White. I liked his match with fucking Alex Shelley. I liked, I can't remember who he worked with before that at the previous Impact pay-per-view, but I think he's good. I like Sabin as well. I think he's had some great matches lately, but this one did fuck all for me, bro. Your turn, chess analogy. Take it away, bro.
Yeah, like I liken it to this, right? I mean, you alluded to it a little bit with saying, you know, this is the third good wrestling match of the show. And what he means by that, ladies and gentlemen at home, in Karlifornia vernacular, that means that for him, there's nothing that's a draw about that particular match outside of what's going to be taking place physically in the ring, outside of the technical aspect of it. So that's what he means when he says good wrestling match, because it goes without saying that it's going to be good, but
yeah,
he's saying it's a much more technically focused match. And that is an astute point, because if you are a hardcore fan of technical wrestling in the ring and you love seeing every different hold and escape and evasion and maneuver underneath the sun that can take place on that canvas, then you loved this match. You gave this 5 stars. And that is where the chess analogy comes from. If you're an astute studier and player of the game of chess, then you would love a match like this that went move for move, constantly in a stalemate situation, you know, E4 moves, and then the opposing pawn on the other player's side of the board moves and mirrors it directly. That's what we kept on getting throughout this match, but there was never any point where a rook suddenly took a bishop or anything like that. There was never any point where those big pieces on the board started getting removed in this match. That's what I meant with the chess analogy. This just kept going round and round in circles. Oh, you're moving over here, I'll move over here. You're moving over here, I'll move over here. And no one was checkmating that king. No one was getting a checkmate. And it just felt like it dragged on and on and on. You know, if you watch those people that perform in those equestrian shows where they're jumping the horse over the little thing and they're leading the horse around and the horse has a pretty little satin on its back and everything like that. Yeah, I can sit down and watch something like that for a few minutes and appreciate the talent that those particular people have at that particular vocation. And I can sit there and I can watch Jay White and Chris Sabin show how good they are in the ring with all their holds and their transitions and their maneuvers. But I don't want to sit there and just watch an exhibition match for half an hour with no heat on it. And that's unfortunately what we got. There was no oomph to this match. There was no spark. There was no mojo. There was no fire to it, even though it's being billed as if it's this serious, important, Jay White is the student, Chris Sabin is the mentor thing. Chris Sabin looks like a certified public accountant who just happens to be secretly the best wrestler in the world on his off days. Yeah. There's nothing remotely exciting about him. Jay White has a little bit more of that excitement factor, but for me, he's just some dude from New Zealand, and I don't really get the hype. It's like some dude from New Zealand that looks like Brian Kendrick. So I'm going to go ahead and give this match a D+. I know that people are going to be pissed off about that. This isn't about whether the match was good or bad. It was about whether the match was interesting or boring. And if you want my opinion, this match was boring.
Yeah, I can't believe I said it. I can't believe you said it too, because I loved Jay White versus Alex Shelley at the last pay-per-view. I thought that was fantastic. This one just didn't kick into the next gear. Sorry if you disagree, but
I'm not sorry. This sucked.
yeah, you know, I'm not
I can't
sorry.
get-
If you disagree,
Yeah, I can't get that
you.
20 minutes back. That
Yeah,
20
fuck
minutes
you.
is never coming back.
Yeah, I even went to piss during the match. Right. Our main event of the evening. Pumped for this one. Who would have thought I'd be more keen on the fucking tag matches on this show, cunt? Considering what I've been saying about tag wrestling all year, bro. But the Briscoe brothers, Jay Briscoe, Mark Briscoe, take on the Good Brothers in this dream match. Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson. Bro, I know what you want to say. Take the floor for the main event.
I would like to know who told Tom Phillips that it was a good idea for him to go ahead and casually, offhandedly spoil the result of that highly anticipated ROH tag team match between the Briscoe brothers and FTR. I would like to know who decided, which individual or group of individuals decided to make the assumption that everyone watching Impact's Multiverse of Matches program will have also spent the previous 3 hours before starting that 3-hour Impact special show, that they would have also spent the previous 3 hours watching the ROH Supercard.
Yeah.
Because the
Hey,
only
and one
reason...
thing also, bro, sorry, one thing also, I believe Impact's show started whilst the Ring of Honor show was still in progress.
That's right. So I would like to know which genius decided to make the assumption that every single fan in the world that watches wrestling has no life and devoted their entire day towards watching Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling, even though Impact Multiverse of Matches, as Carl just alluded to, began airing during the broadcast of Ring of Honor Supercard, meaning there's no possible way for even the most dedicated fan to have watched both shows from start to finish in real time, which would have been the only suitable excuse for spoiling the results of a much more important, much more highly anticipated match that the Briscoes were involved in earlier in the day, as it would turn out. I wasn't sure as a fan going in which show had actually taken place first.
Yeah.
I just knew that they were both taking place on the same day.
Yeah.
At
Good call.
most,
Good call.
At most, the only thing that Tom Phillips needed to say was that the whole world has been buzzing about the Briscoes versus FTR. I wonder if that buzz, that momentum, that hype has clouded their judgment against the Good Brothers here today. I wonder if that's affecting their mindset against the Good Brothers. I wonder if the Good Brothers are thinking about that hype that's surrounding the Briscoes and FTR going into this match, because they're both happening so close together on this huge weekend of professional wrestling. Nowhere there does he need to actually spoil the results. And I'm not even going to spoil the results either, in case anyone else hasn't seen it yet that still wants to, because at this time that we're recording, this is still a very fresh show that we're talking about here. But and yes, I have spent basically 2/3 of the time I'm going to spend talking about this pay-per-view main event, discussing a 3-second comment that somebody obviously ordered Tom Phillips to make. He definitely didn't make it himself, because he came from the WWE announcing system. There's no way he said something like that without it being approved or being fed to him from the back. Absolutely disgraceful, completely destroyed my interest for seeing the Briscoes wrestle against the Good Brothers, even though I had been excited for a big Hoss tag team fight. Regardless of what happened in the ROH match with the Briscoes and FTR, I still would have been excited for this match too, as a little teaser going into the Briscoes FTR match that I was going to watch later. but that spoiler by Tom Phillips, and the way that he said it so casually, as if everyone in the world has no life and just has time to watch wrestling for 6 hours consecutively at a time. As if that's the default state of being a wrestling fan, is just being a basement dweller that's got 6 hours free time to just watch consecutive shows back to back. That completely destroyed my interest in this match. I know that I'm ranting and raving and repeating myself. I don't care. This main event of this show was fucking wrecked for me as a fan. I'm the kind of person that when I go in to see a new movie, I don't even want to know anything about it that can give away what I'm going to be experiencing when I finally sit down and watch that movie. That is what occurred here. The match itself was nothing special, but it was nothing really terrible either. I'm going to give it a solid C-. Nothing against the guys involved, but I was immediately, because this happened during the entrances / beginning portion
match
of this
hadn't even
match.
begun yet. Look, I was pretty disappointed by it too. You've made the point. There's nothing else that could be said, except I just want to add in, as a disclaimer, we wanted to review Impact first because we felt the card was better, and I'm going to be reviewing Ring of Honor by myself later on because I don't want to pile too much fucking work on my co-host here, Jooseyboy. And look, if you don't know the result of that match and you're watching this review, pause it right now because I'm about to say what happened, okay? So I'm giving you the chance now, pause it. Okay, if you haven't paused it, I'm going to say what happened. I didn't like knowing that the Briscoes had already lost that fucking day going into this match, because what does that make me think? Well, if the Goodbrothers lose, then they look fucking shit because they just lost to a team who already lost that day. And if the Briscoes lose, then they just lost twice in one fucking day. And this is a team that 2 weeks ago just won 4 fucking matches in a 2-day period to win the NWA Crockett Cup. And if you think that doesn't mean anything, fuck you, it does. Because all those teams in that fucking tournament worked their fucking asses off. So to have those differences, I mean, I need to see a fucking promo put together with the Briscoes talking about this tragic weekend for their career after being on such a high. I need some fucking good shit here. And unfortunately, Tony Khan is booking for him. So we'll see what fucking happens. But yes, for me as well, I wasn't as invested in this knowing that they had already fucking lost that day or today. Look, it might have been an impossible situation. There's no way around it because they're going to be entering the fucking Multiverse of Matches show without having tag titles on them. I don't know. Was it necessary for them to lose the belts at Supercard of Honor? Could have you maybe not done that yet? I don't know. Maybe it's not that important that it was going to be ruining the Briscoes and the Goodbrothers to Tony. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to fucking... I'm not in that situation making that decision. I'm not one of these tag teams who are probably a part of the discussion of the whole situation. But if it were me and I was one of the Briscoes, I'd be like, look, I don't think we should drop the belts just yet. Let's do a schmoz or something, and let's do a rematch down the line, because if we're going to be putting over the Goodbrothers, then we're going to be looking pretty shit that day. I don't know. Anyway, the Goodbrothers got the win. But yeah, that whole thing just kind of let me down. Despite the fact the match wasn't actually that bad itself. All right, bro. So that was Impact Wrestling's Multiverse of Matches 2022. A very interesting show. High points, low points. What is your rating out of 10, Jooseyboy?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and give what I like to call Jooseyboy's final thought here, before I give my final rating. And that is encapsulated by what we just discussed a moment ago. There's 2 ways to deal with a hornet's nest. Both are equally effective. You can either fucking take the hornet's nest and smash it to pieces, poison it, get rid of it, or you can leave it alone, not deal with it until you've taken the time to to think more clearly about what you're doing and what the ramifications of messing with that nest are going to be. And that is exactly what the fucking bookers in this situation should have done with that fucking main event. Because now you know, as far as the TV broadcast, that was an egregious error. I don't even care if people think that we're making too much of it. It really ruined the show for me. My final rating here is going to be a 5.5. I would have given it more if it wasn't for that spoiler in the main event and for the fact that they had intergender competition in that tag match with Aldis and Cardonas. So, yeah, I mean, that's all there is to say.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10. I love Impact Wrestling. I think they've got the best product going at the moment. Obviously, this show is just like a show for WrestleMania weekend. It's not really. It's you know, it's a special kind of different kind of show with a bunch of different people representing different promotions. So 6.5 out of 10. Some of the matches were. And some of the matches were pretty fucking good. So, Juicy Boy, thank you very much for joining me for this review, bro. And I guess we'll be seeing you again when we review WrestleMania. So thank you, bro.
That's right, motherfucker. You will be seeing me both nights.
Fuck yeah, bro. And thank you all out there for checking out the WZWA Network's review show here of Impact Wrestling's Multiverse of Matches. I'm Karlifornia, this is Juicy Boy, and we will see you down the fucking road, baby. Network, that's the way we play. Good God Almighty. Network, that's the way we play. Get puppies. Network, that's the way we play. Get.
The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.